Hey y'all, from Spindle Mountain Mercantile, I am Heather. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to bring you this week's project. And as soon as I said this week's project, I thought, well, it's kind of like the third or fourth project this week because I keep filming things that I'm making and posting them, and I'm supposed to be saving them up because I'm having rotator cuff surgery later this month. Don't tell me how horrific rotator cuff surgery is. I have heard. Okay, I know I have to sleep in a recliner. I know I can't put on my own bra, and I know the horrific pain involved. I'm gonna be okay. I am a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl, and I figure with that and copious amounts of prayer, I will be okay. And so will my YouTube channel. I will find something to edit. I've got so much film. I had to pay for extra storage on Google. Anyways, so there's a couple things you need to know about this week's video. I usually film, and I am new to this, so remember that and give me a little bit of grace when you see all the literal bumps, because it is a little bit of a bumpy ride this week. Usually I use a stationary thing that holds my phone and shows what I'm making, but since this took a lot of moving around and two people for a lot of different things, my sweet husband and I took turns filming the other person while they worked on the project. So it's kind of bumpy. We did buy a gimbal, and if you don't know what a gimbal is, it's this little device that has like these wheels that spin all these different ways, and they make things smooth, and ours is like this. So we're sorry about the bumpy parts. I even used a stabilizer on the editing thing, and it didn't work that great. Secondly, we filmed most of it vertically, up and down, and we were supposed to film it horizontally. We thought it was still worth it because this project is amazing. It truly is. So when we did the editing, we just added what they call a canvas next to it, and it's like a blurred picture. So we're sorry that a lot of it's up and down, but you can still tell what's going on. So we appreciate your patience with that, and we appreciate everybody helping us out with this new endeavor. It's been a lot of fun. Now, I hope you go and make this. You can make this super cheap. I have found probably 3 or 4 brass lamps on the side of the road since I started doing this just 2 years ago, since I started making things. And I found other kinds of lamps too. I found a lamp table. I found wooden lamps. They're on Marketplace for free sometimes, and if not, they're really cheap. And chairs. People throw away chairs all the time, and they have great spindles in them. I paid $1 for the first piece in the video. It's a changing table that I tore apart. I paid $1, and it really has enough spindles in it to make a whole tree or two. And you know what? Borrow paint from your friends. I'm sure you have a friend who would love for you to come and paint with them. I just think this is so worth taking the time to make it. I hope you guys have a great week, or, day, however long it is until I put the next video on. I will talk to you next time. See ya. When I see things like this changing table that was $1 away from being in the dump, I don't see trash, I see spindles. And where there are spindles, there is money to be made. To disassemble this kind of furniture, I usually use a drill. You don't have to though. It's pretty easy. You can use a screwdriver. And once all of the screws are out, I simply pull apart the panels. And now I get to play spindle whack-a-mole. If you don't want any marks left on the wood, use a rubber mallet. I'm not hitting the actual spindles, I'm hitting the boards on which they're attached, and the vibration is what knocks them apart. And look, I dropped one, and when I did, I saw this awesome spindle in a box we keep stuff in that we want to get aged in the weather. I'm totally adding that to the collection for this tree. Once I gathered all the spindles together a girl ever dreamed of having for this project, I put them in piles according to length. On the bottom of my tree, I usually put the wider diameter spindles. However, that's just a personal preference. There's nothing that says you can't put skinny spindles with fat spindles. Who says you can't have a Charlie Brown Christmas tree made out of spindles, right? Couldn't film myself using my chop saw to cut these, but you could use any kind of saw really. You could even use a hand saw with a miter box, or you could put the spindles in a vise and cut them that way with a hand saw. This part is crucial. Do you see the lines in this spindle? Those are connectors. They're two pieces put together with a big bolt. Always make sure your spindles are disassembled all the way. Every single part that's put together, you have to be able to see how deep the bolt goes. You do not want to cut where those connectors are. Those bolts will hurt your saw and they will hurt you. We are ready to paint. For the top part of this tree, I'm going to use Debbie's Design Diary chalk paint in mint chip and little black dress. I wanted to use an ombre effect, which is where the color changes very gradually from light to dark. I like to keep the dark on the bottom of the tree, and that keeps it from being top heavy. To achieve the ombre effect, I start with the top spindle and I paint it with mint green that I've put in a little bowl. For the next spindle, I add a little bit of black, and I continue my way down, adding black each time. At this point, I sadly realized I do not have enough shades of green in Debbie's DIY to get the effect I want, so I'm going to have to resort to using some of my old icky green paint. And you know what? That's okay, because I have to get rid of this stuff and I hate throwing stuff away, so I might as well use it up, right? Each time I paint a spindle and I lay it down on the table, I put the container from which that paint came out of at the top of that spindle, so I'll know when I go back to do a second coat which color I used. And at this point, I'm just going to start using my hands because I want this to be super sloppy. I want it to drip. I want it to get on the spindles next to them. I want it all over the place. I'm totally starting to dig how it's looking, but I need the green and the color at the top with the mint chip and black to blend more. So I decided to put an aqua in the middle, and I'm just going to mix a bunch of paints together to get that look. One of the glorious things about being so messy with this project is I don't have to worry about the spindles drying with a spot on the bottom that might stick to the table. If you want to do this neatly and not have paint lines or fingerprint lines, you can totally do that. I suggest you find a way to stand the spindles up to let them dry, and using thin coats of paint, letting each one dry in between until you get the desired look you want. And this is the desired look I want. I do want to touch up a little bit of the top spindles so they have just a bit more color on them. And I'm going to also take this time to put a second coat. In between this recording, I've stopped and a lot of the paint has dried. If you put wet paint over wet paint, it's just going to wipe off and go back down to the original wood. So you might as well wait for it to dry. And if y'all thought I was messy before, hello! Now that I have the colors just right, I'm going to leave them outside for about 4 or 5 days and let the weather do its work. My sweet husband is going to teach us how to remove the lamp parts so that you can reuse them. If you want to know how to do that, you can just slow this down. I sped it way up. If you don't want to use the lamp parts for another project, you can simply cut the cords and take them apart. Just make sure, of course, the lamp is unplugged. If you are a brass purist, look away from the screen. Don't watch this part because we're going to use Comet. And SOS pads to clean this. You don't have to do it this way. There are other ways. We want to have this look really distressed. And amazingly, the SOS, oh, there's some chickens. I got a little distracted. You know how some people say squirrel when they're distracted? I'm going to start saying chickens. Anyway, the SOS pad did not scratch it. And we really like how it turned out. This wasn't to make it look original. It was just to get the gunk off. Now we get to reassemble the lamp parts, but we made a mistake. When this rod is a part of a lamp, it has lots of parts around it that continuously connect and keep it stable for the lamp. But since we're just putting all the spindles and there's nothing else to hold it from the top and the bottom, it's going to be wobbly. But we fix that later. Each spindle needs a hole exactly in the center. For this, we're using a drill press. You can use a regular drill though. Just make sure you put your spindle in a vise to keep you and your drill safe. The first spindle my sweet husband drilled, he went all the way through. Unfortunately, it marred up the other side. It's okay, we can still use this spindle. We'll just make sure to put that side down so you can't see it. On his next attempt, he drilled until the drill bit went just to the other side and that pointy tip barely snuck out. He turned it over and used the little tiny hole made by the drill bit as his guide to go back through the other side, and that fixed the problem. I have seen people put a piece of tape on their drill bit so that when the tape meets the wood at just the right point, they'll stop drilling and you can turn it over then and go back through the other side. But you would have to change that piece of tape with every spindle since they're different sizes. So eyeballing it is your best bet. The drill bit we used was just a tiny teensy bit too small, so we have to screw on every single one of these until we get past the part with the threads, and then we can push them down. Well, that did not take long for my sweet husband to figure out how to fix it, and he did. He brought 2 different files in the house. The one he's using right now has little bumps all over it, and it just kind of rips up the wood and makes it a little wider. This one is kind of shaped like a screw, and you just twist it and it makes it a little bit smoother. You don't want to open up the hole so that it's way too big and will swivel a lot. I'm going to speed this up right now because we are fixing the stability issue. To do that, we have to steal some of the rod and push it down further into the base. That means we can't use all of these spindles for the tree, so we have to take some out and maybe put some back in. So if we take out a big one, we have to put back a little one. I almost always, in the times that I've made these, have made too many spindles because of this, and that's a good reason. I don't think you can actually measure with the tape measure to find out exactly how big you want this to be, because things change. My suggestion is to make extra spindles, working your way up within your color scheme. Aside from moving some of the rod down into the base, we are also adding a great big washer to fix the stability problem. That goes on top of the base, And then inside the base, we're putting this other washer, and I forgot what it's called, but it like isn't smooth. It has all these little parts that stick up so that they kind of dig in, and it will keep friction down so that as you move the lamp parts about, it won't become wiggly. I don't know of anybody else who can explain that in better layperson terms than I just did. You're welcome. We're just going through, taking off some spindles and putting others back on to see what looks best. This is where we came up with the idea of that plain wood spindle with no paint on it. When we took off one spindle that was pretty big, I ran outside and found another one that was a little bit smaller, and it was right next to that piece where a lot of paint came off when we left it outside, and I thought this might look pretty good, and you know what? I love it. It was just a nice little unexpected surprise. We have a little video I painted with Golden Ticket by Debbie's Design Diary. It's a liquid patina, and this is way too small. So I found another one that was bigger, and I painted it with the same stuff, and it looks better. But oh my goodness, I'm squealing right now while we video this because it's so cute. These trees are so fun, and one of the reasons is because you can display them so many different ways. They don't have to be in a straight line. You can move the spindles so that they all go wonky directions or so that it goes in a spiral. There's so many different ways you can fix it. And now this tree is ready for the world to see. Take a look. Y'all, I'm a little giddy with how this tree turned out. I mean, look at it. It's so different than I thought it would be, but I love it. Not only is this tree versatile with how you can display it, it can be made in multiple ways. If you want a real clean style, you could make it with all white spindles. If you want to change it up just a little tiny bit, just distress some of the spindles. You could use regular stain and just get darker as you work your way down, or you could use all different colors. I mean, really, you could make this fit any style. Y'all, whenever I get to this part of the video and I ask for likes and subscribers, I feel kind of cringy inside. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I get likes and subscribers, it feels really good. I mean, that's awesome. But it's not why I started this channel. I started this channel because I think there's a lot of people out there who feel like they're not creative. And you are. You just have to try to make the thing. If you can't drill a hole because you don't have a drill or whatever reason, ask a friend, buy them a pizza or a coffee. People will do almost anything for free food. I know that my sweet husband got his first date with me because he offered me free food. Just go make the thing. You will feel so much better, and you will feel like, wow, maybe I am kind of creative, and you'll have something fun to look at or to give to somebody. Anyways, I hope you go make the thing, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you in the next video. Until then, be blessed. Bye.